Welcome to EduCasts, home of EduCasters. So, how do we take all this theory and apply it to a room full of energetic fourth graders or moody high schoolers? Guthrie's theory pushes us toward precision and immediacy. 1. Catch it in the act. Teachers often address behavior after the fact. Johnny, yesterday you were rude. Guthrie would say this is a waste of breath. The learning moment has passed. To change behavior, you have to intervene while the stimulus is present. If a student rocks back in their chair, don't wait 10 minutes to scold them. Correct it instantly so the chair, stimulus, becomes associated with 4 legs on the floor. 2. The girl with the coat. There's a famous anecdote often attributed to Guthrie regarding a young girl who would walk into her house, throw her coat on the floor, and run to play. Her mother would yell, "Pick up that coat." The girl would come back, pick it up, and hang it up. But the next day, coat on the floor again. Why? Because the girl learned to hang up the coat after the mother yelled. The cue for hanging up the coat was the mother's voice, not the act of entering the house. Guthrie advised the mother to change the routine. When the girl threw the coat down, the mother made her put the coat back on, go back outside, close the door, reopen the door, come inside, and hang the coat up. Why did this work? Because it relinked the specific movement, hanging the coat, with the specific cue, entering the house. In the classroom, this means if a student disrupts the line while walking to lunch, you don't just tell them to stop. You take them back to the classroom door and have them walk the line correctly. You are rewriting the script. 3. Direct instruction and drills. Guthrie's emphasis on movements supports the idea of drilling basics. If complex skills are just piles of tiny movements, then we need to make sure those tiny movements are automatic. This validates the use of flashcards, multiplication tables, and spelling drills. We are building the building blocks. If a student has to stop and think about what 7 times 8 is, they can't focus on the complex algebra problem. The basic bond needs to be automatic. 4. Consistency is key. Since learning happens in one trial, inconsistent rules are a nightmare. If a teacher lets a behavior slide on Tuesday but punishes it on Wednesday, the student is learning 2 different responses to the same situation. They are learning that the classroom is a place of gambling. To create solid habits, the environment must be predictable. The stimulus must always lead to the same expectation. 5. Distraction is the enemy. Guthrie famously said, "What is being noticed becomes a signal for what is being done." If a classroom is cluttered with visual noise, or if the teacher is wearing a distracting outfit, or if there is construction outside, the students are linking their learning to those distractions. Teachers need to curate the environment so that the relevant cues are the ones being noticed. If you want them to learn the periodic table, make sure the periodic table is the focus, not the funny sound the projector is making. Forgetting, it's not about fading away. Another fascinating aspect of Guthrie's theory is his view on forgetting. Most people think memories just fade away over time, like an old photograph left in the sun. Guthrie disagreed. He believed that we never really forget anything in the sense of a memory trace disappearing. Instead, forgetting is simply interference. It is learning something new that replaces the old. If you forget your old locker combination from high school, it's not because the numbers fell out of your head. It's because you have learned so many new numbers, PIN codes, phone numbers, new locker combos that are now attached to the concept of opening a lock. The old SR bond is buried under a pile of new ones. For educators, this means that review is essential not just to strengthen old memories, but to ensure that the old memories haven't been overwritten by new, incorrect associations. It also means that when a student returns from summer break and seems to have lost everything, they haven't. The school context just feels different. A few refresher days to reestablish the cues can bring those behaviors rushing back. No theory is perfect, and Guthrie's is no exception. Critics often point out that his theory is too simple. It reduces complex human cognition to mechanical muscle twitches. It doesn't account well for internal motivations, complex problem-solving that requires insight, or the fact that some learnings do seem to require reinforcement to stick. Furthermore, the one-trial learning concept is hard to defend in complex motor skills, without doing mental gymnastics to separate movements from acts. While logically sound, it can feel a bit semantic. Also, strict adherence to contiguity theory can make a teacher feel like a robot. If we only focus on stimuli and movements, we might miss the emotional needs of the student. Sometimes a student acts out not because of a bad SR bond, but because they are hungry, tired, or dealing with trauma. Guthrie's theory doesn't have much room for empathy or the human element beyond the physical mechanism of behavior. So, why should we care about Edwin Ray Guthrie today? In an era of high-tech educational tools and complex pedagogical frameworks, isn't he a bit of a dinosaur? Far from it. Guthrie serves as a necessary grounding force. He reminds us that at its core, learning is about habit formation. We can talk about critical thinking and growth mindset all day long, but if a student hasn't formed the basic habits of bringing a pencil, sitting still, and focusing their eyes on the board, higher-level learning can't happen. Guthrie forces us to look at the minutiae of our classrooms. He challenges us to ask, what are my students actually doing while I am talking? What cues am I inadvertently creating? Am I teaching them to solve the problem, or am I just teaching them to guess until I smile? His theory is a call to action for precision. It asks us to be observant. It reminds us that we are constantly shaping the brains of our students, not just when we are teaching, but in every interaction, every transition, and every disciplinary moment. Guthrie's contiguity theory might be old school, but its lessons are timeless. It teaches us that to change the mind, we must often start by changing the movement. And sometimes, the best way to break a bad habit is just to find a way to make the good habit.